Hiya, welcome back to my channel. It's Wendy here from Toonpish Crafts and I hope you're doing okay. Are there types of moulds that you find you avoid? I have one type of mould that I avoid like the plague because I know it's going to be a lot of hard work and probably full of bubbles. They're the type of moulds that are really thin detail, but there's a lot of detail. And if you colour the moulds and you put a dark background on, you can't see through the dark colour resin to see if there's any bubbles trapped. I do avoid those types of moulds. However, I have a theory that I think could help to solve this problem. Now, it's only a theory because I haven't tried it yet. But I'm going to try. I bought this mould from Amazon and it's a Santa face mould. It's got beautiful detail and it would look really pretty if it didn't come out full of bubbles, and I fully expect it to. So I've got this theory. I'm going to try it out. Hopefully this will reduce the amount of bubbles that we get in this type of mould. So yeah, let's have a look how I get on with the Santa face mould, and I might even show you what I think I'm going to do with it afterwards as well.
So this is the Santa mould that I bought from Amazon. It's absolutely gorgeous, but like I said, I would normally avoid these moulds. I'm going to use some ruby to start with. Now this came from a box set from xTool, and there was 36 colours I believe in the box set, and they're all beautiful colours. I start by spraying the mould with isopropyl alcohol and putting the powder in that, which works perfectly well, but you do end up putting far more mica in there than you usually would. But that's because it's going to make it a brighter colour. Now, I did find later on when doing larger areas, it's easier to mix the mica into the isopropyl alcohol and then put it onto the mould. It just seems cleaner that way. But either way works fine. In fact, one of my very first videos that I put out was on this technique, and I've used it for years. But you can adapt it to what is best for you. So I've given my Santa face some really rosy streaks, and now because he won't have any suntan, he's going to be quite light coloured. This is where I realise I've actually got quite a large area to do with this pink. Again, this is from the box set from xTool. Lots of beautiful colours in that box set. So I've decided now to pour a little bit of isopropyl alcohol into a little cup and mix the mica with it. Once you've done that, you can pretty much paint it onto the mould, as long as you've given it enough. If you don't paint enough on there, it will pull away from the silicone. So you need to really fill the areas with the isopropyl alcohol and mica mix. But you can control it more. A lot more. I do find that with this technique your colours will be brighter and more vibrant depending on what back colour you use, mind you. This is soft blue, and I thought that would be really cool to have as his glasses. I've always wanted tinted glasses that are blue. I just think they're so cool. Now we're going on to Sakura, and I thought as it's cold he's going to have a cold nose and he needs some coloured lips too, and I thought this colour would be great for both of those. But you can see in the other areas that isopropyl alcohol has already evaporated, and that's just while I'm making this. Now I'm moving on to his beard, and I'm going to use bright white. Now this, in my opinion, could be a little whiter, but for a beard, it's absolutely fine. Let's face it, he's probably quite grey now anyway. Now I needed a lot for this area. In fact, I think I mixed up about 4 amounts to fill this area completely, but then I did his eyebrows as well. I didn't do the fluffy part of the hat because I wanted that to be a different kind of white. And I also did the little bits in his eyes. Now I'm going to try out some of this red. Now I do struggle with reds in mica powder, and this is quite a good colour red. I decided to pour it in the bobble of his hat, not even realising the bobbles should be white. So that had to come out later, and I don't know what I was thinking. I should know the colour of Santa's hat by now, shouldn't I? I'm 57. You talk about Santa and you're about 2. So yeah, I should know the colour of Santa hat, but I didn't obviously, because I thought his bubble was red. So I had to take it out with some isopropyl alcohol once it dried. Not too much of a problem really. I'm now going to use some blue. This is a darker blue than his glasses, but I wanted him to have nice bright blue eyes. I think it's important when you're doing a face to get the eyes right. It's the most important bit. And if the eyes don't work, the face doesn't work. Now this is silver white. It's not actually from the same box set. It's from a different company and I couldn't tell you offhand which one it was. But it's a different kind of white. It's very, very bright, this white. It's called silver white, therefore it's got a bit of silver in it. And I thought this would be good for the parts of the hat that would look a slightly different colour to his hair, his eyebrows, but is still white. Now to be fair, you can't really tell the difference, can you? I think you can up close in real life, but on here it just looks the same to me. So it's ready for the epoxy and I'm going to use xTool 2-part epoxy resin, and the discount code is on the screen and it's also in the description box below together with an affiliate link. So this is my theory. I'm going to do a thin coat of clear resin on the back and that way I can find all the bubbles. And then I'm going to go over the top before it's cured with an opaque colour. Now when you pull clear, you can clearly see all the bubbles that are stuck. And believe me, there are a lot of bubbles in this, especially in the beard and in the hair and all around the hat where there's a beautiful Nordic type pattern. Absolutely gorgeous, and it took me forever to go around and dislodge all the bubbles, but if I'd have poured white directly on the back, I would not have seen any of them. Now it's worth mentioning here that I did actually put silver all over the back of the pattern with a marker. But I decided later that that wasn't a good idea, and therefore, as this video was quite long anyway, I took that footage out as I changed my mind anyway. But I thought you might notice that it's a different colour. Now I'm going to use some Buba Vista white pigment in the xTool resin, which is a beautiful, solid, opaque white. Now that I've gone over the top, I've sprayed it with isopropyl alcohol. There is enough room just for me to put some white on the back. Now, there wasn't a lot of room. It's quite a shallow mould. So I had to be careful and try and cover as much as I could with the white. I heated it up with a heat gun so that it would encourage it to mix together. And then for those bits that were not mixing, I went round with a lollipop stick and I mixed it in very gentle on the back. I'm not expecting it to be mixed underneath, but that is absolutely fine. It just needs to have a white background. Let's face it, how many people look at the back of things anyway? It just needs to be white. So the following day I can find out if all my hard work has been worthwhile. I absolutely love demoulding day. Thought I'd give you some sounds as well. So I'm not looking at Santa's face. I'm looking hard to see if I can see any bubbles. There are a couple around his hair at the top of his face, and that's it. I managed to get rid of them and I'm so pleased with that. I'm really happy with it, but the silver just didn't do it for me. So I decided to go with black acrylic paint. I've mixed some with water. This is just standard basic black acrylic paint. Quite a lot of water in there. Put it over the top, just splash it all on. Get a baby wipe and wipe it off. Don't leave it till it dries. You won't be able to get it back off again. And the result is absolutely gorgeous. In my opinion, I absolutely love this. I did go on to give him a silver outline around the hat and the bobble, just to finish it off. Well, I'm going to kind of combine two videos in one here. These pieces I purchased from Temu, I believe. And this is some red that was sent to me to try from Resin Supplies Den. Do you remember the red video when I was trying desperately to get some red? Bless her red got lost in the post, so I never got it. But eventually, recently, she sent me some more. And I thought I'd try it here, just loading up this bow. I haven't tried it actually in resin yet, but that's something for another video. This is Deep Blue from Let's Resin. It's their intensive pigment set. And this blue is absolutely beautiful. Now, I'm not going to show you colouring every one of these moulds because it's pretty much the same. I'm just dusting them. This is dark green, again, another one from the intensive set. And the reason I decided to use the intensive is because I'm going to put white behind these, but I still want vibrant colours. I used a variety of really bright intensive colours, some from Emma, some from Let's Resin. And I'm going to use some polyurethane white resin. This is a quick pour resin. It cures within 10 minutes. It's really fast. You only have 30 seconds to stir it. And as I really didn't know how much I needed for these moulds, I only mixed up a small amount. So I let that cure a bit and then I topped them up. But boy, this stuff is quick. It does run into all the little nooks and crannies though, which is great. So just 15 minutes later and they've cooled down enough for me to demould them. This is express crafting. And as this was meant to be a separate video and I've combined the two, you're probably wondering, what am I doing? How are these going to be used with the Santa face? Well, I've been a little bit busy on my xTool M1 and I've cut out some circles and a larger circle which I hope looks like a snowflake. So these circles are going to be the basis for a Christmas wreath and I'm going to paint them white. Hopefully the centre one looks a little like a snowflake and that is where the Santa face will be placed. I started painting with a paintbrush but it just wasn't doing it for me. A sponge was so much easier. The outer rings are going to have lights in them and they're all going to be painted white. Now because I was putting lights between two of the circles, I put some noggins in with notches so I could thread the wire and the lights wouldn't get squished. I also put some mirrors there to help reflect the light outwards. I put a piece of ribbon on the second one and I'm just going to glue these two together. And I used pegs to hold them while they were gluing. So I'm going to add the 4 polyurethane bell pieces, which I've stuck blocks of wood on the back of. And I'm going to stick these on the front of this front circle. I'm going to use some E6000, which pretty much sticks everything. And with a generous blob, I stick the block onto the circle. It doesn't take long to cure. And apart from one, they're all pretty balanced. The one in the top right hand corner, I had to balance it with a spare block just to keep it from wobbling. I also stuck the Santa's head in the centre of my snowflake. And with a little bit of wiggling and pushing the light mechanism through the hole of one of the snowflake pieces, I managed to place the top 2 rings on the bottom one and then I stuck them together. Was a little bit of jiggling, but I got there in the end. Now it's time to decorate the front and I bought some cheap plastic, what are they, fern pieces, which I'm going to stick right the way around the outside with hot glue. The rest is pretty simple. It's hot glue and hot glue and hot glue right the way around the outside edge. Now it might surprise you to realise that I have absolutely no idea if I'm doing this right. I have never in my lifetime made a door Christmas wreath. But I decided I wanted something a little brighter than just green. So I bought some white fluffy tinsel and decided to hot glue that right the way around the outside edge. I finished it with a bow I made from ribbon at the bottom, and I put it on the front door, and I absolutely love it. As I've said, I've never even owned a wreath before, never used one. Now we don't have any covering over our front door, so it's a bit open to the elements there. So I decided to put it on our kitchen window instead, which does face the outside street and does have a covering, so it's perfect. And when it lights up, it's absolutely adorable. I love this, and I think the Santa in the centre is the most gorgeous Santa ever, in my opinion. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this one. It's been a bit long-winded, but I hope you've got something out of it. Come back and see me next week, because you never know what I'm going to be up to. I never know what I'm going to be up to. Have a great week. Happy crafting, and bye for now.